We come from a very unique little city in the Northern Bay Area called Vallejo, California. So many individuals from our city have made successes of themselves in different avenues, but the list is lengthy. Especially when it comes to sports and entertainment. Her, the singer, E40, Mac Dre, Mac Mall, La Russell now,
Yeah.
Confunction, CC Sabathia, baseball player,
Yes.
Jeff Gordon. The list just goes on and on. We could just run it down, right? Right.
Legends.
A bunch of them. You grew up there. I grew up there. What is it about growing up in Vallejo that creates this kind of creative momentum that's evident in the people that have come that made it our city in like athletics and entertainment and things like that? What is it about Vallejo that you think creates that 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 foundation in us that allows those type of people to rise out of our city?
Yeah, man. Vallejo is, or should I say, when we were growing up, Vallejo was like this place unlike anywhere else. Of course, the Bay Area is the Bay Area, and of course, we got a lot of the Bay Area in us. But Vallejo is still, it has its own unique identity. And one of the things, well, it's actually two things that I see that just create so much great talent. And a lot of people don't know all of this great talent comes from Vallejo. I've told people that Vallejo is like Detroit was in the '60s with Motown when it comes to music. And Vallejo was like the entire state of Texas or Florida when it comes to sports, and how we can create and crank out so many great sports legends and great talent. But the thing is, the two things that I think when it comes to Vallejo is, one, we had an amazing family dynamic growing up in Vallejo. Like our parents and our grandparents, they passed down gifts, talents, or maybe not even just the gifts and talents, but just put the seed in us. When it comes to music, I believe, you and I for sure, and many other people from Vallejo, we have a wide, you know, range of accepting different types of music and knowing different types of music, because our parents was passing down music like the Shy Lights and the Impressions and all these groups from the 40s all the way to the 70s. And so we grew up every Saturday morning, cleaning the house, we listening to this music, we listen, and we watching Soul Train, and we going to the family picnics, and they playing these jams. And so this is embedded in us. And so once we get older and have a little musical talent of our own, we pull from that. And so you see somebody like E40 who's bringing in not only his own sound, but also you hear some of that old 70s funk in his music. You see the same thing. Shout out and rest in peace to Mac Dre. You heard the same thing from him. You even see it from her, with her stylings on the guitar. There were so many bands coming out of Vallejo, such as Confunction, such as Sly Stone. You hear a lot of that in her music, and it's only because of the generation before her gave us that seed. And with Vallejo, it being just a melting pot of diversity. We had friends of every race, color, religion, you name it. And it was nothing for us to be at our Mexican friend's house one day, our Filipino friend's house the next day, our Chinese friend's house the next day, our white friend's house on Friday. It was nothing for that. Yep. And so when I say Vallejo, there's no place like that. When you think of a truly American melting pot, that's what Vallejo was. And it was a safe. It may not be that way now just because times have changed, but it was a safe space for us. I remember growing up, I would literally walk from one side of Vallejo to the other, and my parents weren't worried about me because they knew somewhere along the way someone would see me, someone would check on me, someone would ask me if I needed a ride, and give me a ride if I wanted one. And so Vallejo is a special place. I'm blessed to be born and raised there, and it has placed so many seeds in me that I hope that I'm now harvesting some of those seeds that were planted in me, back in the late '70s, early '80s.
Yeah. Yeah, I believe that your current position in life and what you're doing is kind of a reflection of what comes out of Vallejo. As the reason I asked that question is because you too, and you have risen out of Vallejo. I have risen out of Vallejo. When I say risen, I don't mean you left Vallejo and Vallejo is such a bad place that we had to leave it. It just
Yeah,
means that there's it's such a small place and it's so competitive as such a small place that everybody there has some gifts and talents and stuff to bring. So when you're able to see yourself in that competition, and despite the competition factor still keep rising, it's something special about that place. It's something special
yeah,
about Vallejo to me, when you have an athlete like maybe say CC Sabathia, who has made it to the Hall of Fame, was a
yeah,
Cy Young Award winner, was the highest paid pitcher in baseball at one time, was a finals MVP at one time. Like, when you see someone accomplish those great things, and you translate the nature of where they came from to having a huge part of developing them and developing that spirit and developing that fortitude to keep going and pushing forward their goals and dreams. To me, there's something special about Vallejo. I don't even know how to describe it. I've been asking a lot of people this. I appreciate you telling me that, because I have a hard time explaining why, but it's a lot of stuff that comes out of Vallejo. But anyway, I appreciate that. I think you are representing those things that have come out of Vallejo by you just being individually you, and you doing and pursuing life in your own way. Vallejo has always been about independently being unique and being themselves, even though we have a foundation that we've come from, and Come Function and Sly Stone and other
yeah,
athletes that we can look forward to. Everyone has found their own lane. Every single person out of Vallejo has not done it the same way as someone else has done it, but yet used what they've seen to rise